Far beyond the reach of ordinary maps, nestled in the shimmering turquoise waters of the Bay of Bengal, lies a land untouched by time, North Sentinel Island. From above, it appears as though it has been plucked from a forgotten dream, a dense, impenetrable green rising from the sea, its edges lined with white sands that glimmer like scattered pearls under the tropical sun. Coral reefs encircle it in jagged, glinting patterns, a natural moat that protects the island from the intrusion of boats and ships. Waves crash relentlessly, sending white spray skyward, as if the ocean itself stands guard, warning anyone who dares approach that this is a place not meant for human intrusion. The island is small, yet it feels endless. Every hill, every hidden creek, every grove of ancient trees seems alive, breathing, as if the land itself has its own consciousness. The forest canopy shifts constantly in the wind, a living quilt of greens, and when sunlight filters through, it paints intricate mosaics on the forest floor. The air is thick with humidity and the mingling scents of wet earth, salt, and fragrant flowers. Insects hum continuously, birds call to one another across the trees, and the forest floor is alive with the rustling of unseen creatures. It is a place teeming with life, yet utterly mysterious, a world that has existed largely beyond human knowledge for centuries. Approach by sea is a treacherous endeavor. Hidden coral reefs jut from the water like broken glass, sharp enough to shred the hull of a vessel, and the currents shift unpredictably, their movements invisible until it is too late. From afar, the island appears serene and welcoming, but the waters surrounding it are alive with unseen hazards. Even the tides seem to conspire with the land to make entry impossible, as if the island itself repels human presence. Rain falls in torrents during the monsoon, turning creeks into rushing rivers and saturating the soil beneath the forest, creating hidden mud pits and unstable terrain. In the dry season, the sun scorches the sand and bakes the earth, releasing the earthy scent of warmth and decay into the air. Every season brings its own challenges and gifts. Fruiting trees, freshwater pools, abundant fish, and, simultaneously, storms, rough waves, and heat that tests endurance. Life here is fragile, balanced delicately between abundance and peril. The island seems alive not just with natural energy, but with an invisible vigilance. The contours of the land suggest knowledge of every approach, every inlet, every hidden cove. It is impossible to step onto these shores without feeling that something, or someone, is aware of your presence. From a distance, shadows flit between the trees, waves disturb the sand in unusual patterns. The island communicates silently, it is protected, it is observed, and it is not open to intruders. Birds circle overhead in cautious patterns, their cries echoing through the dense forest like warning bells. The coral reefs are home to vibrant schools of fish and other marine life, yet navigating them is dangerous. The combination of natural defenses, forests, reefs, waves, and tides creates an almost supernatural barrier that ensures only the most careful or most foolish dare approach. Even experienced sailors and researchers have been forced to retreat, humbled by the island's quiet, impenetrable authority. The land is rich, yet hostile. Fruit-bearing trees and freshwater streams suggest a paradise, yet every step could hide peril. Treacherous footing in the undergrowth, sharp coral beneath deceptively calm waters, or a sudden storm sweeping across the island with no warning. The island is a paradox, simultaneously bountiful and forbidding, serene and dangerous, welcoming and unyielding. Even before any human presence is revealed, there is an unmistakable sense of guardianship. Every movement of the trees, every ripple on the water, every call of a bird seems infused with vigilance. There is a rhythm here, a pulse that belongs to something, or someone, that has existed for generations, observing and protecting, unseen but ever present. Outsiders can see the beaches, the hills, the forest canopy, but they cannot penetrate the rhythms of the island. To intrude is to challenge a world that has survived unaltered for centuries, a world that communicates in silence, in barriers, and in caution. This is a land that exists beyond maps, beyond control, beyond modern civilization, yet it is not lifeless. It hums with life and secrecy, each tree, wave, and reef participating in a system that has preserved it for millennia. Here, the ordinary rules of curiosity, exploration, and human intrusion do not apply. The island is alive with stories that cannot be fully seen, histories that cannot be fully known, and a presence that cannot be ignored. For anyone who approaches, the message is clear. Beauty and danger coexist here, and to witness this untouched world is both a privilege and a warning. Far beneath the canopy of dense trees, where the sunlight barely touches the forest floor, lives a people the outside world knows almost nothing about. The Sentinelese move like shadows through the island, unseen yet unmistakably present. Centuries of isolation have shaped them into masters of their environment, fully attuned to every rustle in the leaves, every shift in the tide, every sound that hints at intrusion. They are vigilant, alert, and fiercely protective of the land they have called home for countless generations. From a distance, one might glimpse a figure along the beach, an arm raised, a bow in hand, arrows poised with lethal precision. They appear suddenly, almost like a mirage, and disappear just as quickly into the forest. Their presence is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Every approach is met with caution, every intrusion with decisive warning. This is not mindless aggression. It is a deliberate, calculated protection of a world that exists apart from ours. Their lives are intertwined with the rhythms of the island. They know the forest as intimately as a poet knows words, which trees bear fruit, which plants can heal, which insects signal danger, and which coastal pools hide abundant fish. They move silently, leaving no trace of their passage except the subtle disturbances in sand or foliage that only they could read. Outsiders can see the beaches, the reefs, the dense green of the trees, but the people themselves remain a mystery, existing on the edge of perception, a living secret. Every action seems purposeful. Bows are carried with ease, arrows crafted from local wood and sharpened with precision. Tools, woven baskets, and simple implements hint at a society deeply knowledgeable in survival, yet the details are hidden from the world. Observers can only speculate about the structure of their society. How families are organized, how children are taught, how elders pass on knowledge, but the consistency of their vigilance suggests that they live in a complex web of rules, customs, and practices, carefully preserved from generation to generation. The island itself seems to respond to their presence. Birds scatter at their approach, the undergrowth parts silently as they move, and even the tide seems to ebb and flow in rhythm with their activities. Their mastery of the environment is not just practical, it is almost instinctual, honed over centuries of living in total isolation. They are the island, and the island is them. Stories of encounters with the outside world only deepen the aura of mystery. From historical records and rare aerial observations, we know they have repelled ships and helicopters with arrows, sometimes from great distances, showing remarkable coordination and awareness. Yet they do not chase. They defend without pursuit, revealing that their priority is the preservation of their home, not conquest or aggression. Their reputation is one of fear and respect, a clear warning that North Sentinel is theirs and theirs alone. Even their visibility is calculated. They choose when to reveal themselves and when to remain hidden. Some may appear along the beach, watching silently, others vanish entirely, concealed by the forest. Their eyes, sharp and unflinching, observe every movement, every ripple in the water, every sound carried on the wind. Outsiders may never fully comprehend how deeply aware they are of everything happening around them. This vigilance is born of necessity. Isolation is survival. For generations, any encounter with outsiders has brought disease, violence, or disruption, and the Sentinelese have learned to protect themselves with absolute determination. Their choice is deliberate. To remain apart from a world that could destroy them. Every arrow, every sudden movement, every hidden observation is a statement: this is our land, our life, and we will not yield it. Even without knowing their language, their culture, or their history, it is clear that the Sentinelese live with a profound sense of identity and purpose. They are not merely surviving, they are preserving a way of life that has endured for centuries, in harmony with the forest, the reefs, and the sea. To outsiders, they are mysterious; to themselves, they are the guardians of a world that is entirely their own. There is a beauty to their secrecy. It is not just a defense mechanism, but a deliberate choice to exist unseen, untouched, and whole. Every approach by outsiders, every drone, every curious eye is met with silence, vigilance, and the invisible assertion that this society has a right to remain hidden. Their story is a testament to resilience, knowledge, and the quiet strength of people who have mastered both the natural world and the art of being unseen. Even at a distance, one can sense it. The Sentinelese are a living, breathing testament to human ingenuity and survival in its most primal, undisturbed form. They are invisible architects of a civilization unknown to the world, and they will allow no one to claim it for themselves. Long before modern maps marked the Bay of Bengal and before cameras or satellites could spy from above, North Sentinel Island existed in complete solitude, known only to the surrounding seas and the passing winds. Yet the currents of history, curiosity, and colonial ambition eventually brushed against its shores, introducing the first, ill-fated attempts at contact. In the late 18th and 19th centuries, as European powers expanded into the Andaman archipelago, the Sentinelese were a name whispered in passing among sailors and explorers, a people said to live entirely apart, fiercely resisting any approach. Early records speak of ships attempting to land along the pristine beaches, only to be met by sudden volleys of arrows that would send men fleeing back to their vessels. The dense forest swallowed all movement, leaving the outside world with only glimpses of figures disappearing into the green, like ghosts of an untouched past. Missionaries, traders, and colonial officers were drawn by a combination of curiosity and ambition. They brought gifts, words, and in some cases, threats, hoping to establish contact. Some left behind journals detailing the instantaneous coordination of the Sentinelese. Bows were drawn before the humans even set foot on the sand, arrows flew with precision, and watchers appeared from hidden vantage points within the forest canopy. Every intrusion met resistance, yet it was never reckless or chaotic; it was deliberate, strategic, and wholly defensive. History shows that these early encounters were rarely violent for the sake of violence. The Sentinelese understood the threat outsiders posed. Not just in arrows or physical conflict, but in disease, displacement, and disruption of their delicate way of life. From smallpox to measles, the outside world had brought calamities to neighboring tribes. For the Sentinelese, the forest, the reefs, and their vigilance were shields not only against ships and strangers, but against the invisible dangers carried by contact. Over time, stories of vanished explorers and failed landings spread. Sailors spoke of the island as a place where curiosity could be fatal, a paradise that defended itself, refusing all attempts at intrusion. Some observers noted small patterns of ritual or daily activity glimpsed from a distance, fires smoldering in hidden clearings, the distant sound of wood striking wood, or the occasional movement along the shoreline. These glimpses were fleeting, fragmented, and tantalizing, offering hints of a fully formed culture that thrived entirely out of sight. The lessons of history became clear: North Sentinel is a land that rejects conquest, persuasion, and interference. Every arrow fired, every sudden retreat into the forest, was a testament to a people who understood the stakes of exposure. They had learned that outsiders brought more than curiosity; they brought disease, fear, and the risk of extinction. Each encounter shaped their response to the world beyond the waves, strengthening their isolation and their skill at survival. Even as the centuries progressed and the modern world drew nearer, the island remained unchanged. Attempts to study or communicate were met with the same meticulous caution, each approach reinforcing the island's reputation as one of the last truly untouchable human habitats. History teaches us that the Sentinelese were not simply hostile; they were survivors, guardians of a world that could not afford interference. From this long history emerges a profound lesson. In North Sentinel, contact is not a matter of diplomacy or exploration; it is a confrontation with a people whose very existence depends on remaining unseen. The island stories, preserved in the movements of its inhabitants and the responses to outsiders, reflect a culture that has learned, over generations, to observe, defend, and endure. And while the world beyond the waves may speculate and plot, the Sentinelese continue to live their lives with quiet vigilance, untouched by centuries of curiosity, yet shaped by the echoes of every encounter that came too close. As dawn breaks over North Sentinel Island, the first rays of sunlight spill across the dense canopy, filtering through the leaves in golden streams. The forest awakens slowly, birds call to one another, insects hum in the undergrowth, and the waves lap rhythmically against the coral-fringed beaches. Somewhere in the shadows of this untouched world, the Sentinelese begin their day, moving silently through a landscape that is both their home and their safeguard. Their lives are a seamless blend of survival, knowledge, and vigilance. Every movement is deliberate. Men, women, and children navigate the forest and shoreline with an intimate understanding of the land's subtle signs, the direction of the wind, the smell of fresh fish in the tide pools, the rustle of leaves that may indicate a hidden path or a dangerous creature. Each day is a careful orchestration of tasks honed over generations, taught not through written word but through observation, imitation, and oral tradition. Fishing is an art. Early in the morning, long before the sun reaches its zenith, the Sentinelese make their way to shallow pools and coral-edged bays, using sharpened spears to catch fish gliding silently beneath the water. Some gather shellfish and crustaceans from the rocks, while others dive into the clear, sometimes perilous waters, relying on reflexes refined by centuries of practice. The techniques are precise, efficient, and remarkably adapted to the environment, every movement designed to conserve energy, maximize yield, and avoid unnecessary risk. Hunting in the forest requires equal skill and patience. Arrows are crafted from local woods, sharpened to perfection, and carried with an instinctive knowledge of when and where to use them. Small game, birds, and other forest creatures are captured with a minimal footprint, ensuring that resources remain abundant. Paths through the undergrowth are invisible to outsiders, yet known intimately to those who walk them. Every tree, every stone, every clearing has a purpose, a resting spot, a hunting point, a place to gather plants, fruits, or firewood. Women play central roles in gathering, processing food, and crafting tools. Baskets woven from palm leaves carry the day's harvest, while certain plants are carefully collected for their medicinal properties. Children move through this world learning through imitation, watching the adults and mimicking their movements until skills become instinct. The elders, while less physically active, remain the silent custodians of knowledge, guiding the younger generation through subtle instruction and observation. Their wisdom shapes the rhythms of life, from knowing which trees bear fruit to understanding the tides and weather patterns. Life is punctuated by rituals both functional and cultural. Fires are tended for warmth and cooking, smoke rising in thin spirals that disappear into the canopy. Structures of woven branches or temporary shelters are arranged with intention, providing protection from rain and sun while leaving minimal impact on the forest floor. The interplay of necessity, creativity, and environmental awareness is evident in every choice the Sentinelese make. Even where outsiders might see simplicity, there is sophistication. Each tool, each movement, each route through the forest reflects deep knowledge passed down across centuries. The rhythm of the day is closely tied to nature. Seasonal changes dictate what is harvested, where people go, and what precautions are taken. Monsoon rains transform the forest, swelling streams and hiding paths, while dry seasons reveal new opportunities and dangers. The Sentinelese move with the land, in harmony and vigilance, always aware of both the abundance and fragility of their environment. Even in moments of rest or play, there is awareness. Children explore the edges of the forest and beach under watchful eyes, learning through observation and imitation. Adults maintain constant alertness, a rustle in the leaves, a shadow moving across the sand, or a sudden ripple in the water can be a signal that demands attention. Every day is a dance between survival and coexistence, a testament to a people who have honed the art of living invisibly yet resiliently. This daily life, unseen and largely unknowable, is a world in perfect equilibrium. Every gesture, every practice, every choice reinforces survival, knowledge, and identity. The Sentinelese do not simply exist, they thrive in a complex, interwoven ecosystem of land, sea, and community. And as the sun sets behind the forested hills, painting the sky in streaks of red and gold, it becomes clear. The island is alive not only with nature, but with a culture that has endured in quiet resilience, perfectly attuned to its surroundings and unwavering in its solitude. The day on North Sentinel Island begins with the rhythm of survival, but food is at the center of that rhythm, both sustenance and a subtle thread of culture woven into every movement. The Sentinelese live in intimate harmony with their environment, drawing nourishment from the land, the forest, and the surrounding sea in ways that outsiders can only begin to imagine. Fish are the lifeblood of the island. Before the sun rises fully, the adults move toward tide pools and shallow waters, carrying sharpened spears, woven baskets, and the patience that comes from generations of practice. The coral reefs are both ally and adversary, teeming with fish yet dangerous for anyone unaware of their hidden crevices and razor-sharp edges. The Sentinelese move like shadows, silently stalking the silver flash of fish beneath the waves. Each spear thrown is precise, deliberate, and nearly always successful, a testament to knowledge handed down across centuries. Shellfish, crustaceans, and mollusks supplement the diet. Along rocky shorelines, men and women gather clams and crabs, turning over stones and exploring crevices, aware of tides and the subtle patterns of waves. Nothing is wasted. The bounty of the sea is carefully portioned, ensuring both immediate nourishment and the preservation of resources for the future. The forest provides equally vital sustenance. Fruits, roots, and edible leaves are harvested according to seasons and the natural cycle of growth. Certain fruits are reserved for children or elders, some roots require careful preparation to remove toxins, knowledge passed through silent teaching and observation. Insects and small game also form part of the diet, providing protein in forms adapted perfectly to the island's limited ecosystem. There is a ritual in their approach to food, even if it is invisible to outsiders. Gathering, hunting, and cooking are all performed with care, reflecting both practical knowledge and a tacit respect for the environment. Fires are lit in controlled clearings, smoke curling into the canopy, signaling activity but never revealing more than necessary. The tools used, woven baskets, sharpened sticks, and spears, are simple, yet expertly crafted, the culmination of generations of innovation tailored to the island's resources. Certain taboos shape the way food is consumed. While the exact details remain unknown, anthropologists studying related Andamanese tribes infer that rituals and rules around food consumption likely exist to preserve resources and maintain balance with nature. Some species may only be taken during specific seasons, certain fish or roots may carry symbolic or medicinal significance. Every bite is part of a larger system of understanding the island, its seasons, and its cycles of life and death. The act of eating is also deeply social. Men, women, and children gather at small clearings or along sheltered beaches, sharing the day's harvest. Conversations, though silent to outsiders, are rich with meaning. Elders may supervise, guiding the distribution of food and teaching the young the subtle nuances of foraging and hunting. Children learn not just what to eat, but how to read the environment, anticipate the tides, and understand the habits of fish and animals, lessons that are crucial for survival. The sea, the forest, and the land are inseparable from the food they provide. One cannot understand the diet of the Sentinelese without seeing it as part of an ecosystem that is fragile, intricate, and self-regulating. Over centuries, they have learned to take only what is needed, to respect the resources that sustain them, and to maintain a delicate balance with nature. This balance is survival, identity, and culture rolled into one. Even the simple act of a meal carries meaning. Every fish speared, every shellfish gathered, every fruit collected is a reminder that the island sustains life not because it is easy, but because the people have mastered a rhythm of observation, patience, and precision. It is a dance between human ingenuity and natural abundance, performed daily in near silence, far from the eyes of the world. By the end of the day, the meals have been consumed, fires extinguished, and baskets emptied, yet the lessons of the island remain. Food is more than sustenance here, it is a living classroom, a guide to survival, and a quiet affirmation of a people who have thrived unseen for millennia. It is a culture in every bite, a story in every harvest, and a testament to the extraordinary human capacity to live in harmony with the wild. The forest of North Sentinel Island stretches endlessly, a green cathedral that shelters both life and secrecy. Within this dense canopy, the Sentinelese construct their homes, not as monuments to permanence, but as extensions of the environment itself, perfectly adapted to the rhythm of the island. Every structure is a subtle statement of survival, ingenuity, and deep respect for nature. The dwellings are modest, often simple arrangements of branches, leaves, and palm fronds, but they are remarkably effective. Roofs made of layered leaves shed heavy rains, while woven walls provide both ventilation and shelter from sun and wind. Some shelters are positioned along the shoreline, offering quick access to fishing grounds, while others are hidden deeper in the forest, concealed from any prying eye. Each location is chosen carefully, reflecting a profound understanding of terrain, tides, and the movements of both humans and animals. Construction is an art passed down over generations. Children observe silently as elders weave leaves and bind branches, learning not only the techniques but the principles of balance, durability, and discretion. The materials are all local, biodegradable, and renewable, leaving no lasting impact on the land. A temporary shelter can serve a family for months, then disappear almost entirely, leaving the forest undisturbed, a living example of sustainability in its purest form. Inside the shelters, life is simple but structured. Floors are kept clean and dry with carefully laid leaves or soft earth, fires are small and controlled, providing warmth and a means to cook without attracting unwanted attention, and tools for fishing, hunting, and gathering are always within reach. There is no clutter. Every item has a purpose, and every corner of the home reflects the intimate relationship between the people and the environment that sustains them. The positioning of homes is also deeply strategic. Those near the shore provide easy access to fish, shellfish, and water, while homes nestled in the forest offer protection, shade, and concealment. Paths between shelters are carefully worn, invisible to outsiders, yet known intimately to every inhabitant. In this network of homes, the Sentinelese move with precision, visiting one another, sharing resources, and maintaining the delicate balance of community life while remaining invisible to the outside world. The shelters also serve as more than physical protection, they are symbolic of the tribe's bond with the land. Each structure demonstrates a profound understanding that the forest and sea are not merely resources to exploit, but partners in survival. A home is never built recklessly. It is harmonized with the surrounding flora and fauna, designed to exist lightly on the earth, and positioned to anticipate seasonal changes, storms, and the needs of the family. Visitors from afar have noted the subtle organization of space around these homes. Areas for cooking are separated from sleeping spaces, small clearings are used for social interaction, and temporary storage is carefully arranged to minimize exposure to weather and wildlife. Even without seeing inside, one can sense a rhythm, a daily choreography of movement, work, and rest, all orchestrated in harmony with the environment. The architecture is ephemeral yet enduring in its principles. When storms pass, the homes bend and yield, resilient but not rigid, disappearing almost entirely in the wake of nature's forces. This impermanence is a lesson in humility and adaptability. The island does not allow permanence for humans, and the Sentinelese have learned to build lives that respect this truth. Through their shelters, we glimpse a culture of practical ingenuity, environmental awareness, and quiet harmony. Homes are not monuments of human dominance, but expressions of coexistence, carefully balanced with the rhythms of the forest and the sea. They demonstrate that survival is not only about food or protection, but about understanding one's place in a living, breathing ecosystem and adapting in ways that allow both humans and nature to flourish. By observing the island from above, one might see only a scattering of shelters hidden among the trees, yet beneath the canopy, these homes tell a story. A story of a people who have mastered the art of living lightly, resiliently, and invisibly in one of the most remote and unforgiving environments on Earth. Each home is a testament to centuries of accumulated knowledge, passed silently from generation to generation, a living proof that harmony with the land is not just possible, it is essential for survival. Even in a world largely hidden from human eyes, the Sentinelese express identity, status, and culture in subtle yet profound ways. Clothing and adornments are not mere decoration, they are woven deeply into the rhythm of life on North Sentinel Island, a visual language as old as the forest itself. From a distance, one might see the faint outline of figures along the beach or moving through the undergrowth, their forms partially obscured by shadows and foliage. Their attire, while minimal by modern standards, is crafted with purpose, adapted to climate, survival, and expression. Woven fibers, leaves, and bark are carefully shaped to protect against sun, rain, and insects, while remaining lightweight and flexible, allowing swift movement through dense forests and along jagged shores. Every garment is functional, yet it also communicates, silently, to others in the tribe. Adornments are crafted with the same care. Feathers, shells, and small bones may be woven into hair or attached to garments, each piece carrying meaning, perhaps marking family ties, social role, or a rite of passage. Colors are subtle but deliberate, drawn from the natural dyes of plants, bark, or minerals found on the island. Red ochre, black soot, and green leaf pigments may be applied to skin or clothing, conveying identity in ways that outsiders can only speculate about. These choices are a dialogue between the individual and the community, a language without words, visible only to those who understand the code. Gender roles also influence attire. Men may favor practicality, with clothing suited to hunting, fishing, and movement, while women may incorporate more ornamental touches, signaling social position, fertility, or skill in crafting. Children learn these distinctions naturally, observing the adults around them and imitating the styles and adornments appropriate to their age and gender. Every bough, feather, or woven detail is both functional and symbolic, a reflection of the tribe's values and survival priorities. The use of adornment extends beyond clothing. Hair may be styled or decorated according to age or role, and small items, shells, teeth, or carved wood, may serve as tokens of achievement, rites of passage, or spiritual protection. While outsiders can only glimpse these details fleetingly, anthropologists studying related Sentinelese tribes infer a complex system of identity encoded in appearance, a silent yet powerful form of communication that reinforces community bonds. Even in daily life, attire is a form of adaptation. Lightweight garments allow movement through the dense forest, waterproofed leaves and bark shield from rain. Woven mats and wraps double as bedding or portable shelter. Clothing is an extension of survival, demonstrating that the Sentinelese do not separate function from expression. Every item carries meaning, whether it is practical, social, or spiritual. The ritual use of clothing is just as intriguing. Special adornments may be worn during significant events, celebrations, rites of passage, or gatherings that are invisible to outsiders but deeply meaningful within the tribe. Here, color, shape, and texture communicate in ways that words cannot capture. Through this visual language, knowledge, values, and history are conveyed silently, passed from generation to generation alongside skills in hunting, fishing, and survival. Even the simplest detail, a feather tucked behind an ear, a pattern of ash on the skin, speaks volumes. They tell of identity, belonging, and the unbroken continuity of a culture untouched by the outside world. Each gesture, each choice in attire, reinforces the deep connection between the Sentinelese, their land, and their ancestors, a statement of survival and resilience expressed in living form. Through clothing and adornment, the Sentinelese achieve something extraordinary, they communicate without exposing themselves fully, preserving secrecy while maintaining complex social structures. Their attire, like the forest itself, is alive with meaning. Subtle, elegant, and completely integrated into the fabric of daily life. To observe it from afar is to witness a culture that survives, thrives, and resists change without a single word spoken, a living testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of humans in harmony with nature. As the sun dips behind the hills, casting long shadows across the forest and beach, the colors of their garments catch the last light, reflecting centuries of tradition, skill, and identity. In every movement, in every choice of adornment, the Sentinelese assert who they are, guardians of a world that refuses to be conquered, seen, or fully understood. In a world invisible to outsiders, the Sentinelese speak a language that has survived for millennia, carried across generations with precision and care. While no one outside the tribe can fully understand its words, the patterns of sound, rhythm, and gesture speak volumes about who they are, how they organize, and how they maintain their culture. Every cry, every shout, every song is woven into the fabric of life on North Sentinel Island, guiding, warning, and connecting the people. From the edge of the forest, faint calls may drift across the beach, rising above the waves and dissolving into the canopy. These are not random noises, they are communication, carefully calibrated to convey information about danger, food, or movement. An alert cry might signal a predator or intruder, while another may direct a group toward a productive fishing spot. The language is inseparable from the environment, it has evolved in harmony with the forest, the tides, and the wind. Children grow up immersed in this world of sound, learning not through formal instruction but through immersion. They mimic, repeat, and experiment, absorbing meanings, intonations, and gestures. Elders correct them silently, adjusting tone or posture, passing down the rhythm of speech and the subtleties of understanding without ever needing written symbols. In this way, knowledge is transmitted naturally, ensuring the survival of language alongside survival skills. Songs and chants are likely part of their culture, though outsiders have only glimpsed fragments from a distance. These are not mere entertainment, they encode history, memory, and identity. Stories of ancestors, cautionary tales about the forest, instructions about hunting, fishing, or survival, each may be embedded in melody or chant. The oral tradition ensures continuity, preserving lessons that cannot be written down, guarding them against both time and intrusion. Even gestures play a crucial role. Hands, heads, and bodies communicate intentions, warnings, and guidance silently. In a dense forest or along the edge of the shoreline, such nonverbal communication allows the Sentinelese to move efficiently, coordinating without alerting outsiders. Every movement, every glance, is part of a sophisticated system that outsiders can scarcely decode but is entirely understood within the tribe. Language, song, and gesture together form a living network of knowledge, linking individuals to each other, to the land, and to their ancestors. The structure of this communication is likely complex, allowing coordination in hunting, resource sharing, and protection. Though invisible to the outside world, it is precise, deliberate, and essential for daily life. Anthropologists and linguists studying the Andaman Islands have inferred from related tribes that the Sentinelese language is likely unique, possibly unrelated to neighboring tongues. This isolation has preserved it, shielding it from external influence and preventing the erosion or blending seen in other regions. In a sense, the language itself is a form of defense, a barrier against assimilation, a living shield that maintains the tribe's autonomy. Through this invisible system, the Sentinelese maintain social order and continuity. Children learn respect for elders, hunters coordinate silently, and the community responds to threats without chaos. Each sound, each movement, each pattern of speech reinforces their identity and their right to exist undisturbed. Language is not just communication, it is survival, culture, and memory fused into an inseparable whole. Even when the wind carries their calls to the empty beach, there is an eerie elegance in the way it rises and falls, a rhythm that speaks of both caution and cohesion. Outsiders may never decode it, but those within the tribe understand it fully. In every call, song, and gesture, there is a reminder, this is a people entirely self-contained, existing in a delicate balance of knowledge, instinct, and cultural continuity. By preserving their language and oral traditions, the Sentinelese safeguard more than information, they preserve their very way of life. It is an invisible architecture of the mind and heart, a living testament to human ingenuity, memory, and resilience. The language, like the island itself, is untouchable, yet it sustains every heartbeat, every action, and every connection within this hidden world. On North Sentinel Island, learning is not something that happens in classrooms or from books. It happens in the rhythm of life, in the quiet observation of the forest, along the coral-strewn beaches, and within the daily tasks that define survival. From the moment a child takes their first steps, the environment itself becomes the classroom, and every adult is a teacher in the art of living. Children watch, listen, and mimic. They observe elders weaving leaves into shelters, shaping spears, tending fires, or silently tracking fish through tide pools. Each movement is absorbed, repeated, and refined, until instinct takes over. The youngest members of the tribe learn not through lectures but through participation, observation, and guided experience. A misstep in hunting or foraging is not punished harshly, it becomes a lesson in patience, observation, and adaptation. Skills are layered gradually. A child may begin by carrying light tools, observing the tides, and understanding the patterns of the sun. Over time, they learn to fish, hunt, and navigate the forest. Each lesson is intertwined with the culture, respect for elders, awareness of danger, understanding of seasonal cycles, and the social rituals that bind the community together. Education is inseparable from life itself. Elders are the silent custodians of knowledge. They do not instruct with words alone but demonstrate, correct subtly, and allow children to discover the rhythms of survival for themselves. The guidance they provide is profound, teaching not just how to hunt or gather, but why certain actions matter, how choices affect the environment, and how knowledge of the past ensures survival in the present. In this way, tradition is maintained without needing written language, maps, or formal structures. Social order is also reinforced through these educational patterns. From early childhood, each person understands their role within the tribe, who leads, who provides, who observes, and who protects. Coordination is silent yet precise, a hunting party moves together, families share resources, and every action contributes to the tribe's cohesion. Authority is respected not through force but through the demonstration of skill, knowledge, and accumulated wisdom. Marriage, kinship, and family structures are transmitted alongside practical skills. Children observe relationships, rituals, and social interactions that define adult life. They internalize expectations about cooperation, loyalty, and responsibility, ensuring that the social fabric remains intact across generations. Even without direct interference, each generation inherits a blueprint for survival, morality, and communal identity. The island itself is a teacher. Seasonal changes dictate which plants can be gathered, when fish are plentiful, and how to avoid dangers hidden in the forest. By responding to these patterns, children learn adaptability, foresight, and respect for nature. Knowledge is encoded in the land, the tides, and the behaviors of animals, a living curriculum that is continually reinforced through practice. Even rituals and traditions are a form of education. Through observing ceremonies, preparing shelters, or participating in collective activities, children learn the values, beliefs, and priorities of their people. They internalize a worldview in which survival, community, and harmony with the environment are inseparable. Every lesson is grounded in reality, every skill tested by necessity, every practice intertwined with cultural identity. This form of education is subtle yet profound. It ensures that, despite isolation, the Sentinelese continue to thrive. The tribe does not merely survive by instinct, it survives through knowledge passed down with care, observation, and respect. In every spear thrown, every shelter built, every fish caught, the lessons of generations are alive, guiding hands and minds that will one day become the elders themselves. On North Sentinel Island, there is no written record, no formal school. But there is a living, breathing archive of human ingenuity. Knowledge flows silently, invisibly, from one generation to the next, ensuring that the tribe's survival, culture, and identity remain unbroken. The education of the young is inseparable from life itself, a constant, invisible thread weaving together past, present, and future. On North Sentinel Island, the forest, the sea, and the skies are alive, not just with creatures, waves, and winds, but with the unseen presence of something greater. The Sentinelese do not need temples, texts, or written prayers. Their spirituality is woven directly into the rhythms of daily life, visible in the way they move, hunt, gather, and interact with the land around them. Every action is a subtle reflection of respect, awareness, and a profound sense of connection to the forces that sustain them. Though outsiders cannot witness their rituals directly, anthropologists studying neighboring tribes suggest that the Sentinelese likely maintain a belief system deeply rooted in nature, ancestry, and the cycles of life. Forests, rivers, and the ocean are more than resources, they are living entities, imbued with power and intelligence. Each tree felled, each tide respected, and each animal hunted is guided by a sense of balance, a tacit understanding that to harm nature unnecessarily is to endanger oneself and the community. Spirituality is also reflected in the veneration of ancestors. Elders are not only guides for survival, they are the living link to the past. Through observation and ritual, younger generations honor those who came before, ensuring that the wisdom, experiences, and moral codes of ancestors continue to shape the present. The invisible lines connecting the past and present reinforce the community's identity and survival strategies. Rituals, though hidden from outsiders, are likely embedded in everyday practices. Fires may be lit with subtle ceremonial gestures, offerings may be left in secluded areas of the forest, and songs or chants may carry layers of spiritual significance. Even the placement of shelters, paths, and hunting grounds may reflect unseen rules, designed not only for efficiency but for harmony with spiritual and natural forces. The cycle of life, birth, growth, reproduction, and death, is observed with care and respect. Children are introduced gently to the realities of survival, elders guide transitions, and the community collectively honors each stage of existence. While no outsider can describe the ceremonies themselves, the patterns of life suggest a philosophy that views humans as part of a larger, interconnected web, where every choice carries ethical and spiritual weight. The ocean, in particular, holds deep significance. It is both giver and taker, a source of food and a potential threat. The Sentinelese have learned to navigate it with skill and reverence, understanding tides, currents, and seasonal changes. This knowledge is more than practical, it is spiritual. The sea's moods are respected, its dangers acknowledged, and its bounty honored. Even danger, whether from storms, predators, or outsiders, is likely framed within their worldview. Survival is not just physical, it is moral, relational, and spiritual. The tribe's insistence on isolation may itself be a sacred principle. An ethical boundary that protects the people from harm while preserving the sanctity of their way of life. To step beyond it would not only risk death but violate a deeper code of existence. In every gesture, every observation of the natural world, and every action taken for survival, there is a quiet spirituality that binds the tribe together. Nature, ancestors, and community form a living triad that sustains identity and guides behavior. Even without written records, the Sentinelese maintain a system of belief as coherent and profound as any formal religion, one that has preserved their culture and lives across centuries. As the sun sets behind the dense canopy and the ocean reflects the twilight, the invisible threads of belief, respect, and connection hold the island together. In this hidden world, every life is sacred, every action is meaningful, and every generation carries forward the unbroken legacy of knowledge, reverence, and survival. The Sentinelese live not apart from the world, but in perfect attunement with it, guided by forces both seen and unseen, past and present, that define existence on this remote island.